Perhaps the single most striking development in 20th century culture is the rediscovery of polyphony, and with it the realization that all literary texts are to some degree anthologies of tone, style, and genre. This has long been obvious in the great epic poems of antiquity, the Iliad, the Odyssey, Beowulf, the sagas, and scholars have persuasively demonstrated their emergence from the mass of rhymes and riddles, myths, songs and stories which sounded through the ancient world. It has also become clear that novels too derive from and reveal an equally rich variety of sources, literary and otherwise. Once pointed out, these sources are obvious in the fictions of Rabelais, Cervantes, and the prose writings of the 17th century, which deploy, quote from, allude to, and parody every available genre from the epigram to the shaggy dog story. 18th and early 19th century novelists show similarly diverse origins. Some, like Sterne and Diderot, make a point of emphasizing the fact. Others, like Dickens and Balzac, revel in the protean possibilities of the novel, breaking their narratives with barely relevant episodes, and using the text to comment directly on contemporary issues of every kind. Attitudes changed in the second half of the 19th century when Flaubert and James appeared to insist on subordinating everything in their stories to the laws of artistic unity, but the origins of the genre eventually proved too strong for them. Polyphony and diversity have triumphantly re-emerged as aesthetic ideals in our own time, and even Flaubert and James, on a particular moment when it became clear that all literature is, as it were, anthological, it would probably be the modernist Annus Mirabilis of 1922, the year of Ulysses and the Wasteland. Eliot's poem depends largely on quotation, Joyce's novel partly on pastiche, and these works take the anthology to what might seem to be its logical limits, were it not for the dazzling post-modernist achievement of Italo Calvino's If on a Winter's Night a Traveller, the novel which prompted these reflections. For Calvino deploys a selection of fictional styles which make even Joyce look tame. He doesn't merely copy existing writers, he invents 10 new ones, whose work nevertheless seems strangely reminiscent of books we feel we know but cannot name. Each of his 10 writers contributes an opening chapter to the novel, in which the comedy, or should one call it a farce, arises from the protagonist's increasingly desperate and confused attempts to locate the subsequent chapters of the 10 novels. So Calvino's story constitutes an anthology of opening narrative gambits, what his imagined writer Silas Flannery calls incipits. Anyone who has ever written anything, from a business letter to a 3-volume novel, knows how difficult and how vital it is to find the right opening words. And at one level, this book is a virtuoso display of how to overcome that difficulty in a dozen different ways. As such, it is a treatise on writing. Yet at the same time, it is also a treatise on reading. This is made clear right at the start of the book when, with his own celebrated incipit, you are about to begin reading Italo Calvino's new novel, If on a Winter's Night a Traveller. The author establishes the magical atmosphere, at once intimate, absorbing, and thrilling, that we associate with settling down to read our favorite stories. But this too is only the first of many beginnings, as the novel opens out into a wonderfully comic and encyclopedic account of the ways in which our reading, like our writing, is affected by factors outside what seems to be the most private experiences, by disposition, by environment, and our relationship with others by physiology, even by posture.